Howdy guys, Radio Magic here. I hope you're all having a fantastic morning, day, afternoon or evening, wherever you are and whatever you are up to. Today we are back on the channel testing how viable is Control in the historic meta, whether you're climbing to Mythic, you're currently in Mythic, which is unlikely because the season's just reset, or maybe you're just trying to make your opponent's lives as miserable as possible by countering all of their spells and exiling all of their threats. Well, either way, we're probably going to have the control list somewhere for you. So today we're giving Dimir Control a go. We gave Dimir Control a go recently on the channel, and it didn't do too well. It felt a little bit underpowered, and I promised you guys that we would revisit Dimir at some point. So we've used today's opportunity to do that. It's a pretty similar variant of Dimir Control that we played last time with a few different changes, and I'm going to go into them a little bit in a minute. But for those of you that aren't interested, remember to check down in the description below. You'll find timestamps for all of them games without spoilers, so feel free to go check that. As always, we'll be playing like 4 to 5 games back to back, so you get to see all of the Viz plays firsthand, and yeah, we just see how we get on. Opponents scoop early, sometimes games go super late. Just get a good feel of how the list would perform if you were realistically trying to climb the ladder. And like I said, season's reset at the moment, so yeah, you are actually going to be climbing the ladder one way or another at the moment. I think we've fallen back to early platinum maybe, so got to climb up them ranks at the moment, which is going to be fun. But yes, Dimir Control. What are the changes we've made? How is it different from last time? So sensors have gone back in. We've removed Tempted by Auric, just because I feel like overall it's a little bit less, a little bit underpowered. It's probably not what Dimir's trying to do. We're really trying to play at instant speed outside of like our board wipes and planeswalkers. We've added Behold, the multiverse, for some pretty efficient card draw. Really good if you're missing land drops. You can put it on. If you only got 2 lands, you can put it Foretell and then cast it on turn 2. Allows you to keep more hands than you'd necessarily have to mulligan. We've changed our board wipe of choice from Extinction Event to Shadow's Verdict. Feel like it's probably good. I haven't seen that many sacrifice lists at the moment running around, so not really relevant to get the graveyard, but I think when you're playing against Gruul and Collected Company, normally CMC 3 or less is all you need to hit. You don't really need to pick odd or even, and I'd rather consistently get rid of our opponent's entire board with Shadow's Verdict than have to pick. If you're in Gruul and they've got some CMC 1, 2 and 3, well, you're not going to get them all, which is sometimes the death of you. And at the same time, we're running 2 Vraska's Contempts and 3 Fatal Pushes, so we should be able to either Revolt, get a 4-drop, or Vraska's Contempt can answer them Planeswalkers or higher CMC creatures. We're running a 1-off Heartless Act, and we're running a few more interactive spells in the board as well that play to the board, things like Fatal Push. Giving Legion's End a go, because I haven't seen this pop up in quite a while, and I wanted to know how this will get on. Do have a bit of a problem with it being sorcery speed, but being able to get multiple Burning Tree Emissaries on turn 2 could be quite good. And there's a few other things that this hits as well. We're running an extra board wipe of Languish. I kind of want something a little bit cheaper, just so we can get to cast a turn 4 board wipe if needs be. We're running Leyline of the Void for our graveyard hate as well. I've actually seen a lot less Arclight Phoenix running around, maybe because it's been hated out because there's so much graveyard hate going around at the moment. But I've noticed that the red decks normally don't have a problem answering artifacts. So we've gone with an enchantment this time. We're not always going to get to consistently play this before the game starts. But even if we're casting this on turn 4, it's not the end of the world. And it plays around Mystical Dispute. So always good about that. Other noticeable cards, we're running actually less board wipes than counter spells than we normally would run, with only 1 Mystical Dispute and 2 negates, because I've decided to put the Four.Vs that you'd normally be running in Dimir in the board. And the main reason for this is I don't really want to take life early on. I want Four.Vs instead of Inquisition, but there's only so many matchups that I actually want Four.Vs in. So I thought might be controversial, it might be just completely wrong, but I've decided to put the Four.Vs in the board. Like I said, don't want to lose life, and I don't always want a Four.Vs, and top decking them late game can just kill you. But if we bring them in against Control, which is normally when we're bringing them in, combo lists, things like that, when we want to disrupt, top decking a Four.Vs later on in the game is normally quite good, because they've got enough card advantage that they're always going to have something in their hand. But in the aggro mid-range matchups, yeah, Four.Vs is okay on turn 1. Like, I don't really want to shock myself and then take 2 more life from Four.Vs. But if you top deck Four.Vs in an aggro matchup later in the game, you're just dead. So that's one of the reasons I've decided to put these in the board this time. And obviously, since we're in black, we're going to be giving Fort Distortion a go. And hopefully we'll get one of our opponents with Fort Distortion. So that will be pretty sweet. The only other noticeable inclusion that we have made, which we're giving a try, is the Biblioplex, a land. I saw this pop up a few times recently against playing against Azorius lists that our opponents have been on, and I thought this might be quite good in Dimir, because unlike Azorius, Dimir really struggles, I think, to close the game sometimes. Obviously we have the Torrential Gearhulk, which can close pretty fast, but Narset can't bind that, Searchers Cantor can't find that. We're gonna have to draw him naturally, so we don't have like reliable sources of card advantage, if that makes sense, at the end, like Bolas, Teferi, 4-mana Chandra, just other things. Narset is our main form of card advantage, so maybe the Biblioplex is going to be good at sort of helping us churn for our deck a little bit. We do have a critical mass of instants and sorceries. We actually have a lot. Let's just take a quick look. I probably should have remembered this beforehand. So instants and sorceries, yeah, we're running 22, so maybe we could be running a little bit more than we're currently running. But at the very least, the Biblioplex is just a surveil, so good for that reason. So we can still manipulate the top of our deck. I don't know if it's going to hurt us that much, because I wanted to include the Blast Zone as well. So 2 colourless lands might be pushing it a little bit. But unlike Azorius, Dimir doesn't need to hit Absorb on turn 3. So we can afford 1 colourless land in there. And if we draw both colourless lands, then I guess the Magic Gods are not smiling upon us today. And we were going to lose that game one way or the other. So it does not matter. But yeah, that is Dimir Control. Like I said, we played it recently on the channel, and I hope this list does a little bit better than the last one we did on the channel as well. I also just wanted to say, on a side note, like, a massive thank you to everyone so far that's been supporting the channel, leaving your comments, likes, subscribes, and that. It really does mean a lot from a new YouTuber trying to put out regular content and that alongside a full-time job. And we're picking a pretty niche audience with just Control, so it's always nice to know that we've got people supporting the channel. And like I said, just let me know what you guys are getting up to, how you're getting on with them. So just wanted to give a quick little massive thank you for that. And yeah, just if you can be asked, keep going. And honestly, let me know what you want to see. If you want me to see me branch out into some other bits as well, maybe you want to see particular Control lists or combo lists or aggro, whatever you want. I may just play Control, but I do enjoy playing other lists at the same time. I just thought we'd make this kind of a niche channel at the same time. But let me know what you guys want to see. And yeah, just again, a massive thank you for all of the support and everything you guys have done. But yeah, I'm going to shut up now and we will jump into a few games. I'll catch you again at the end with a wrap-up. Okay, so revisiting Dimir Control in Historic Best of 3. And yeah, this hand looks okay. We can keep this. Fatal Push and Censor for good early interaction. And then Behold will hopefully take over. Maybe with this Behold we can find like Torrential Gearhulk or Narset. Okay, so like mono black aggro maybe. This is a reasonable hand to keep. Get to hold up Censor. More than happy to just take the hit here from the Aetherborn for 1 turn. So opponent's just passing here. Do we just cycle the Fetid Pools? Just push. Just push maybe. Not sure what our opponent could have here. Maybe they're playing around Censor. If they are playing around Censor, good job. I think we're just going to play out Fetid Pools. We need our second blue source at some point. And then we'll hold up Censor this turn. If our opponent plays something that we can push, maybe we'll push instead. Cling, and then next turn we'll just go for a hard cast of Behold instead of foretelling it. So opponent's just going to cast out the Murderous Rider, playing around Censor, and we'll just let that go. Not much we can do there. Do we just want to redraw with Cling? I think we're going to redraw. Don't need to worry about life. Narset's a good one. Kind of want to stabilize the board a little bit before we start casting Narset though. Are we just going for a Behold, or we could go for a Searchers Cantor? Maybe it's better to go for a Searchers Cantor Censor, and then if our opponent plays around Censor for another turn, we could just cycle it. And the earlier we get Searchers Cantor going, the better. Help fix our draws. And if Search Counter gets to a point where it's going to flip, I feel like we're going to be in a pretty good position against Mono Black. One advantage I think Mono Black has above some of the other control lists is answering Mono Black's Snowlands, the 4/3 with Vigilance. Something Azorius tends to struggle to answer. Yeah, definitely going to censor that. At this point, well, I mean, so it's a 5 mana 4/4 that replaces itself. Yeah, we'll keep this. That's pretty reasonable to keep. And then I think we're just going to play Narset here. We'll tap the correct land. And then we've got a Heartless Act for this Murderous Rider if our opponent wants to go at it. Because we will need to answer the Murderous Rider eventually, and I'd rather answer it and then get another activation of Narset if possible. The only way I can see it's not working is if our opponent has like a Rankle, or they killed the Narset of like another Murderous Rider. But I'm more than happy to Heartless Act a Rankle here. Sweet, or I'll Heartless Act a Phyrexian Obliterator. Think we're going to Heartless Act that? Happy for Narset. I mean, Narset will get us an extra activation. We don't really care. We're not dealing damage. I think we'll just Heartless Act the Murderous Rider actually and get another activation here. And then our opponent will have to spend their next attack with the Obliterator on Narset. So in a way it gains us more life. Unless they're not really worried about drawing, I guess, and they'll just smack us. But yeah, a Phyrexian Obliterator, not as scary as something like if we were playing against Jeskai. If we were playing with Jeskai, more of a damage-based control list, then yeah, Obliterator would be a little bit more scary. But as it goes, Dimir is pretty good at just destroying and exiling. Yeah, so Shark Typhoon, probably not great in this situation. Like, I like Shark Typhoon, and I think it'll be good overall, but we need to find an answer to this Obliterator. And putting cards in the graveyard furthers our goal of flipping Search Cantor. Yeah, so Vraska's Contempt is great. Just pass the turn, I guess. To see what our opponent's got. Would have loved another land so we could have foretold Behold or held up Censor. Yeah, here's the Faceless Haven. So yeah, just going to have Vraska's Contempt here. I'm not sure how important Narset's static is, but we're going to Contempt the Obliterator at some point anyway, so I guess may as well just get it done now. And could always cycle Censor here as well. I don't know if Censor's sort of dropped off a bit now. Guarantee we flip Search Cantor. This Fatal Push is pretty much exclusively saved for this Faceless Haven. Okay, Sorin. To let that go. Sorin, not too scary. Oh, opponent. So many opponents make this mistake. We'll see if we see the Shame Scoop now. Sometimes the opponent does that straight after. No, just going to tick up and do nothing. Yeah, we'll keep that. Gets to transform Search Cantor anyway, and land drops are still good at this point. And then just activating Search Cantor here is going to be good. I think we might just foretell Behold, maybe. So just pass the turn. Yeah, not too worried about Sorin. Now we're in a pretty good position, I think. Get to either saw it coming and Behold, or just activate Azcanta. Depends what our opponent decides to do. Guess we can just also push this. Works out pretty well for us. Yeah, Fatal Push, solid card. I'm never sure when building Dimir whether you want to include push or not. Because when it's got so many things like Eliminate and Heartless Act, I wonder if you just want to run one more cost for your removal spell, but get a more diverse range of things that it can potentially hit. Yeah, Commit to Memory looks okay. I'm going to set up the combo next turn, maybe. I guess we will, if we are going to commit to memory, then we'd rather like start putting stuff like this in Foretell as well. But yeah, can definitely see a world here where we just commit whatever our opponent does. And then maybe just... maybe we try and find a Torrential Gear Hulk before we cast memory, or we just hard cast memory. But I want a pretty comfortable 18. We've got all the resources we need. I'm pretty sure we can take over from this position. I think opponents just at this point going through the motion, which fair enough. Yep, just taking out the Sorin. So yeah, let's activate Canter. Put one Gear Hulk to the bottom. I think just trying to find a Torrential Gear Hulk here. We'll pretty much lock the game away. I don't think it matters too much. We're sort of at a point now, it's like, how do we lose the game? Because we don't really need to draw more cards with Commit at this point. Just trying to close the game. So we're looking for Shark Typhoon or Torrential Gear Hulk. Guess we'll just put something else in Foretell. Just Behold for some diversity. Because Behold can hit Torrential Gear Hulk, but obviously Searcher's Counter can't. Okay, opponent's going to scoop it up. Makes sense. I mean, like we said, just sort of playing through the motions at that point. It's only a matter of time before we find a win condition. So yeah, how are we sideboarding against this? I think we're definitely bringing in Fatal Pushes, and I can see Legions, Ends, and Languishes as well. So opponent was on Champion of Dusk. It looks like maybe Vampires, but they had like quite a slow start with like Phyrexian Obliterator as well. So Languish, I think, is going to hit everything the opponent's up to outside of the Phyrexian Obliterator, so probably worth bringing in. I don't think we want Fort Caesars. I do think we want the push though. In terms of cuts, like Sublime Epiphany is probably going to be really good if we get around to casting it, but if our opponent's like an aggro list, I'm not sure if we will get around to casting it, so maybe just cut the Sublime Epiphany. Just need to survive on, focus on surviving the early game. Like Cling isn't too relevant this matchup, though our opponent could have some graveyard synergy, but we didn't see any there, so probably cut the Cling just to make room for the removal spells that we're bringing in. And the only other consideration that I'm considering is Legion's End as well. Like, could trim some bits. Like, could take out like a Narset. Maybe I'll take out a Narset and bring in one Legion's End. I kind of want to keep in a high density of Narsets just because they're still really good. Slows down our opponent with the static ability, and we've obviously got like Commit to work with Narset at the same time, and she just digs us towards answers. So bring in one Legion's End. We'll see how it gets on, but yeah. Okay, game 2 against Mono Black Vampires, and I think this hand has to be one that we're going to mulligan away. No early interaction. If our opponent gets down a 1-drop or 2-drop, then Sensor's going to be too slow, and no black mana, so kind of happy to mulligan that away. This hand is risky as well, but we can cycle these Sensors early to try and hit interaction, and we've got Vraska's Contempt. I think we're going to keep the Shadow's Verdict and put the Commit to Memory on the bottom, and then at least we can cycle 2 Sensors if needs be to hit our land drops and like find more interaction. Inquisition. So lose one of these Sensors. Yep, just going to lay Watergrave tapped, I think. Yeah, not really worried about Gifted Ether Born. Play out a Mind Stone, maybe? Probably better just to hold up the Sensor here. Opponent will probably play around it, but I'm more than happy to cycle Sensor to make sure we hit our lands. And then next turn we get to play Mind Stone. Oof. Yeah, I mean, probably just let this go. I mean, opponent could take push, it's fine, but then the Gifted Etherborn gets hit by Shadow's Verdict anyway. So Gifted Etherborn is not longed for this world. Looks like the opponent's considering whether to take the Mind Stone, which I actually think is not bad. Like, it depends how quick they're going to go, because slowing us down getting to this Shadow's Verdict is good. I mean, all of the picks in our hand are somewhat good. Like, Sensor prevents us from trying to hit other land drops. I guess the worst pick in our hand is like Fatal Push, maybe. So yeah, just cycle here. More than happy to do that. Okay, the Biblioplex could come in. Running quite low on cards. Just get this Mind Stone down. Yeah, Biblioplex at the very least is a 3-mana Surveil. This allows us to fill our graveyard, but obviously if it's an instant or sorcery, then we get to put it into our hand. Unfortunately missing other black source, I guess there we go. Yeah, opponent's very low on cards at the same time, and we're still on quite a comfortable 18. I think I am just going to Vraska's Contempt here, because if we hit a land off the top, then we can just activate Biblioplex on our next turn. Yeah. I mean, might have been a bit hasty there, but we could have actually decided to just let that get taken and then activate Biblioplex. But we are going to have to activate. We are going to have to answer the Gifted Etherborn at some point anyway. Yep. Trades with Faceless Haven. But we're in a position now where it's like, if we top deck lands, we get to still draw cards with Castle and Biblioplex. And if we don't top deck lands, then we're top decking non-lands. So, yeah, Inquisition is fine. So I assume our opponent's not going to attack with a Faceless Haven here. Can't really afford that, I don't think. But they are going to attack. Maybe opponent just wants to get the Shark Typhoon out of our hand. Somewhat understand, but I'd probably, if I was them, sit back for an answer to Shark. And now I think we're just in like an excellent position here. We've got so much. Our opponents can cast a lot of Wayne now, but yeah, I think I'll draw. Don't want to lower our life total too much, but we do want to press our advantage if we can. Yep. What are we looking for now? Like, Torrential Gearhulk, I guess, is okay. Like, Shark Typhoon, Narset, I guess, is good. Yeah, I think just gonna Shadow's Verdict here, take out the Sorin maybe. We've got push and we kind of want to empty our hand anyway. Might be a bit premature. I'm not sure if it's a bit aggressive to Shadow's Verdict there. I just don't see any reason to allow opponent to keep the Sorin. Yeah, Knight's a good one. Get to push the Knight. Not going to draw here. So we can languish if we want to, and then we get to activate Biblioplex. But languish is probably going to be better against. Like, we may as well wait for what our opponent's got. I'm not really bothered about languishing a Dusk Legion Zealot. Like 14 turn clock is fine. So probably just take 2 more. Opponent just mulling over their options, I guess. I mean, next turn we might languish. See if our opponent lays something else. Just, our opponent might, for the next 3-4 turns, just hit us with this Dusk Legion Zealot, and it's sort of switching off our Castle Lochwain a little bit. And if we just use the card in our hand, then we can start activating Biblioplex for free, rather than having to pay life with the Castle Lochwain. Yeah, probably gonna stop the Rankle. Just if it hits us and makes us discard our Languish, then we feel really bad. And I feel like we're just going to untap and Languish here. I guess we can eat it with Torrential Gearhulk now, so not going to Languish. And then hopefully Torrential Gearhulk will be quite fast at closing the game. Gotta be careful of the Faceless Haven, but I think this is fine. We need to find another answer to Faceless Haven, because we could hold the Torrential Gearhulk and then like push it. Yeah, I think we will Vraska's Contempt just to gain some life here. Opponent has the removal spell. So yeah, we'll just gain a little bit of life. If our opponent just casts Murderous Rider here, then I guess we'll just Languish. Have a look what we draw. Maybe the additional board wipes is not great to bring in, just because like Faceless Haven is a bit of an issue. I guess to put that on bottom. So we'll play out the Fetid Pools, and then yeah, we're just sort of in a position now where we've got tons of live draws, just got to find something. Yeah, maybe it's correct to save the Torrential Gearhulk for when this Haven goes off. We'll take our first 4, we'll do it in end step. If we find a push, then great. Counterspell. Yeah, I guess Counterspell's fine. I mean, it's a free card, isn't it? We could put it into the graveyard, but I think I'm going to sacrifice Mindstone as well. Would like to find an answer. Okay. So, have got to be careful here that we don't just die. Need to find like a Shark Typhoon or a Torrential Gearhulk or something. Narset would be great. Like, loads of good things we can draw. Gotta find something in this draw step though. I guess we should activate Castle Lochwain now as well, because if we draw, then we can't activate Castle Lochwain, and if we draw land, then Biblioplex is dead as well, so we'll activate Lochwain now. Narset's okay. So Vraska's Contempt is good for us. There's quite a few things that are good for us. Okay, opponent's going to activate in response. Tis not good. That's just left us completely dead. Yeah, whiff on the Narset. GG. That's a shame. I thought we were definitely going to pull that one around. I think the biggest mistake we probably made was with the Torrential Gear Hulk. We didn't need to ambush the Dust Legion Zealot once they showed us the Faceless Haven. We probably should have just waited on the Torrential Gear Hulk for one more turn. And then gone Torrential Gear Hulk, ambush the Dust Legion Zealot, and then Vraska's Contempt the land. But I guess our opponent had the removal spell, so we'd have just got the land. But that was probably better than the Dust Legion. So how do we want to board? I feel like Legion's End wasn't great there. So okay. Like Sublime Epiphany is just going to get taken out of our hand. I feel like I'm going to cut the Legion's End for a for a Narset. I think just drawing Narset there would have been really good. Obviously we did find one, but we whiffed. Like the odds of whiffing are pretty slim, but it does happen from time to time. So yeah, just ran the 4th one and got at that. Okay, so game 3 against Vampires, and I think we've got a mulligan of 1 lander. Can't really keep this. Tons of interaction, Fatal Push, but yeah, not happening. Think we can keep this? How greedy do we want to get? Do we want to put like Watery Grave on the bottom? I feel like I might put Watery Grave on the bottom. I'd rather have less targets for our opponent's Thoughtseize and Inquisition. Or more targets for them. So we're not left completely empty-handed. Sweet, so opponent gets to take the Censor, which makes our next turn like really, really easy. Just gonna put this Behold in Foretell. And Behold's a good one as well. Should help us get out of our mulligan situation. So Gifted Etherborn here. So yeah, Knight. So I assume our opponent maybe takes Narset here. Quite far away from Torrential Gear Hulk. So our opponent just gets to smack us here. There's a good chance that they just pump as well. I mean, it runs the risk of them being blown out by a push, but yeah, not much we can do there. They got the combo. So I guess we may as well Behold in response in case we hit like a push and want to push the Knight. Shadow's Verdict's a good one. We do need land, but I'm sure we'll draw the land. Famous last words, but want to push the Knight. Makes our Shadow's Verdict a little bit worse, but we're not going to be able to push the champion anyway. I think we're going to push Knight. Our opponent gets to draw 1 less card. And the Shadow's Verdict's still going to hit Sorin anyway, and it will hit anything else that our opponent decides to play on their next turn. We didn't keep land because we thought we were going to hit 1, but maybe not. Yeah, going to have to censor the Rankle. Yeah, got to find an answer this Knight, this champion. Yeah, this is just how it goes sometimes. You're just going to draw the complete wrong side of your deck now for like 3 draws in a row. We've got a few draws to get out of this, but it's got to happen now. It can't. Got maybe like 2 more draw steps. Could take an additional 4 here to draw an extra card, which I think is probably better to do. Take 4 and go to 5. And then the Gifted Etherborn, I guess. Yeah, we'll draw. Not looking promising here. Maybe we should have kept our land drop, but we needed to answer the yeah, Champion of Dusk. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Opponent gives us the good game. I mean, we could have an out here. You could have the Vraska's Contempt and push. Yeah, just the way it goes sometimes. Going to have to scoop it up there. And unfortunately, I feel like Dimir has what it takes to win here. I think we're probably messed up game 2. There was we were both top decking for quite a while. I guess we just didn't really find anything to mute our opponent while we're summing up. Yeah, game 2 was unfortunate because I think we probably could have won that. Game Game 3, this is just how it goes sometimes though, isn't it? Like, just gonna lose sometimes to having a bit of a dodgy draw or not finding your land drops or whatever. I guess we could have kept our land drop from Behold, but then we wouldn't have found the push. So, as it goes, yeah, just scoop it up there. Okay, so probably got a mulligan at hand about any islands in it. So, yeah, maybe Biblioplex messing us up a little bit. Yeah, we'll keep this. Put Torrential Gearhulk on the bottom. It's quite a while away from being relevant. Also, playing against some Gruul here. Yeah, probably just dead with a hand like this. No Fatal Push in our opening hand. Instead, our opponent's a little bit slow. Maybe it's better to cycle the Fetid Pools there, just trying to hit something. Yeah, Gruul's a tough one to beat, especially on the draw when you don't know what you're against. I mean, can't hit a board wipe here. Think we just got to leave up. Saw it coming, maybe. Yeah, pretty much game against Gruul already. Feel like we've got the tools necessary to win game 2 and 3, but maybe not at the moment. Yeah, unfortunately, just not finding what we need. So yeah, we'll skip it up. That's tough. The draw against Gruul is always really rough as it is. So, let alone when you don't know what you're against and then your opponent comes out the gate with a relatively fast start. I guess Cling is like our main source of life gain. Probably cut Sublime Epiphany as well. Might actually not need the Languish because everything's at sorcery speed. We need to be playing at instant speed, I think. Might be same reason for Legion's End, but so we'll keep in. Let's cut like a Narset, Tremor Sensor, maybe like a Shark Typhoon. Maybe like another Sensor as well, because we've got the Aether Gusts and the Legion's Ends now. This hand is reasonable against Gruul aggro, depending on what our opponent has, so probably going to keep this and put the Searcher's Canter down on turn 2. And then turn 3, I guess we've got Heartless Act. We'll see what our opponent's up to, but it's really dependent on how fast Gruul is out the gate. We're going to need more of our interaction. We're going to need some more pushes and that. Let's get this Ascanter down. Hopefully Ascanter can start bidding some lands. These Watery Graves are going to be quite costly here, since we kind of need our lands to enter untapped. I guess we can play like one tap next turn and play Heartless Act. Ooh, Office is a good one. Yeah, gonna graveyard these extra lands. Yeah, try and get as many tap lands down, I think, as possible. Could like Aether Gust to Clophis, but don't need to at this point, I don't think. I'd rather stop like a Gruul Spellbreaker here or Questing Beast. Maybe just gonna kill the Burning Tree. Clophis is gonna do quite a good job as well of keeping keeping our graveyard slim for Ascanter. Yeah, I think Shadow's Verdict's okay. We'll play out the Watery Grave so we don't have to shock next turn for Shadow's Verdict. So I feel like we'll probably just like, we'll see what our opponent's got, but if it dies to Shadow's Verdict, we'll probably let it through. And then Aether Gust the Clophis, and if it doesn't die to Shadow's Verdict, I guess we'll Aether Gust it. Guess opponents just deciding whether they want to play around a counter spell or Shadow's Verdict on the next turn. Opponents put it on top. So yeah, quite possible our opponent just follows up like a questing beast here. And if they follow up a questing beast, like we might be in a bit of trouble, especially with a tap land next turn. No, opponent's just going for Clothis. A Torrential Gearhulk into Aethergust is okay, but our opponent has Clothis, so I feel like we're just graveyarding this. I'm going to play Narset this turn and then set up for a Shark Typhoon next turn, and then at least we have an answer to Questing Beast, providing our opponent would like to play one. Aethergust is okay. How many cards are we having? 4. This would be 5, 6 for turn. Guess we could cycle Shark Typhoon or Upkeep if we wanted to. Probably just going to let the Clothis go off this turn. And then Aethergust whatever our opponent plays. Need to be careful though, because between double Ramanap Ruins our opponent has and Clothis, like, it's like so far 6 points of burn here. So yeah, if our opponent does nothing, we will just Aethergust this. And then hopefully we hit a counterspell along the way. You know, Graveyard Legion's End. Yeah, saw it coming is great. Can stop this Clothis now. But yeah, opponent's got quite a bit of burn of Ramanap Ruins. I've actually got 6 points with the Hashep Oasis. They're just shocking us each turn. And kind of because we don't have any creatures in our opponent's graveyard, because we Shadow's Verdict, even if we find Cling to Dust, we can't gain any life off of it. So yeah, I guess we're just Shark Typhooning for 5 here. And hopefully trying to close the game quicker than our opponent can. Okay, opponent's going to scoop it up. I don't know if it's correct to scoop it. I guess we get to make a 5-5 and then we've got Counterspell Magic up. But I think you see there, just from that, like, had our opponent been on the play, like, it would have gone down so much differently. So we'll run it back, but this matchup is so dependent on who goes on the play and draw. Okay, so opponents decided to keep their hand of 7, and I think we're going to keep ours as well. Between Push and Aethergust, it should hopefully, fingers crossed, enough interaction to survive on the draw. But I don't have high hopes for this matchup anyway. I think it's really tough. Okay, our opponent having nothing straight out the bat is a good sign though. And I think we're just going to use this opportunity to get down a Watery Grave. Opponent will most certainly have a Burning Tree this turn, but if we were on the draw, if we were on the play and had the Aethergust, then that'd be great. Okay, our opponent has no play off of the Burning Tree, which is great for us, I guess, because we just get to Aethergust whatever our opponent does here. Yeah, it looks fantastic. Of course, it's got haste, so it's coming down next turn, but maybe just slowing our opponent here is just going to be enough. No turn 1 play and no follow-up to a Burning Tree is not where our opponent wants to be. But they kept this hand for a reason, so I guess we'll see. Are we pushing here? Think we're going to push. Just want to protect our life total. Yeah, don't need the other Shadow's Verdict. So can cycle Shark Typhoon just for 1 here if we want to, but I think it's probably better to hold on to it so we've got some sort of a clock after we've finished up with this Gruul Spellbreaker. Opponent could be playing around a counterspell here as well. I'm not going to play around one. Yeah, I think it's probably better to hold on to Shark Typhoon. Go get an island. I guess more lands are still okay here. But maybe we just want to draw relevant spells and then we'll hit the lands we hit in between. Because, yeah, I don't want to be in a position where we just draw too many. So we can just make a 4-4 here, I guess. Providing our opponent doesn't have an Embercleave. In which case we could just Shadow's Verdict. I'm going to Shadow's Verdict instead. It's rough, because if our opponent, like, we can't really play around an Embercleave anyway, so I guess we'll just 1-for-1 trade here. And, be left with 5 cards in graveyard, I guess, after Clothis and Fable Passage goes off. Okay, Mammoth. Yeah, if I knew our opponent didn't have an Embercleave, then I'd feel a bit better, but, like, there's every possibility that they have one. Yeah, I'll keep that. I think we're just going for the Vraska's Contempt this turn. And that way, even if our opponent does have an Embercleave, I guess they don't get to attack. But, yeah, Clothis is painful as well. We need to get the Shark Typhoon down as soon as possible so we can start closing the gap. Gotta lock it out. Because, like we said last game, Raminap Ruins and Clothis is quite the combo. I'll lower our life total pretty fast. It's nice to have the passive life gain of Vraska's Contempt here, above the new 4-mana removal spell that can be cast relatively cheaply. Okay, so 5 cards in graveyard, this will make 6. I still think we're going to put this in the graveyard. So yeah, maybe just making a 4-4 here, or holding up a counter spell. Opponent just shocks us, I guess. Yeah. Hopefully we don't have to saw it coming anything this turn and we get to make a 4-4. But yeah, we're on, what, falling to 3 after the next Clothis trigger and Raminap Ruins. Which is really scary because our opponent runs Bone Crusher Giant. Need like a Cling, I guess, but opponent's got no creatures in the graveyard. So yeah, make a 4-4. Okay, so probably need to put whatever the card on top is into the graveyard, just so we can flip Search Counter this turn. Yeah, more than happy graveyarding a land. Okay, so counter spells are great, but we need to find something. So yeah, falling to 3 here. Then next turn, I guess Clothis is going to be pretty much lethal, so gonna have to find like an Ether Gust for this Clothis, or like a Vraska's Contempt, or just to gain us some life. I guess Cling's like I said, not great. Yeah, gotta stop this. Cannot allow the Cindervines to resolve. And then let's activate his counter. And hope our opponent doesn't in response bone. Oh! Oh, nice. Yeah. Played around the saw it coming really nicely. I don't think we can afford not to activate Search as counter there. Hopefully between Legion's End and blocking our Shark, maybe we can survive. But Legion's End exiles as well, and I think one of our outs is actually Cling to Dust here. So I'd actually rather it just said destroy at this point. Both of them, oh no. I guess like push is like we can survive with a push. Okay, so Ether Gust allows us to survive. So got to answer the on-crop crasher. Got to answer the brawler. We just got to answer everything here. So I think step 1, sacrifice Mind Stone. Then Legion's End the Volcanic Brawler. Push Ether Gust. I think we're 1 mana short of doing everything we want to do. In which case, are we just trading? Yeah. Yeah, so if we sacrifice the Mind Stone, because we need to be able to... Legion down to CMC 2 or less. Yeah, so we have to push the on-crop crasher. Can't let the on-crop crasher attack, because it will exert. So got to sacrifice Mind Stone, and then we push. And then we can Ether Gust the Clothus, but we have to counter the Clothus on the way back down, otherwise it's just a wasted... So I guess we're trading Shark for Volcanic Brawler here. I guess let's see what we draw off of Mind Stone first. Yeah, probably just pushing here. Push on-crop crasher. Ether Gust Clothus. We can trade for the Volcanic Brawler, which is absolutely fine. We know what our opponent's drawing this turn. And we'll counter that. And then I guess Torrential Gearhulk into counter whatever our opponent's next play is kind of viable. So, might have our out here. Wow, yeah, double Torrential Gearhulk. I mean, our opponent could definitely get out of it. They need multiple relevant plays. Are we just flashing out Torrential Gearhulk? I think we're just flashing out Torrential Gearhulk here. Yeah, saw it coming, I guess, but we're not going to cast it. This just puts our opponent under a bit of pressure that they kind of have to do something. And now we have Torrential Gearhulk into Saw It Coming and a Saw It Coming up as well. So we actually got really lucky there, I think. Like, our opponent just had nothing towards the end of the game. We got quite fortunate, but like I said in sideboarding, like Gruul is very much dependent on who goes on the draw and who goes on the play. We definitely needed a bit of luck there. Okay, so in the dark against not knowing what our opponent's on, no companion or anything, I think we can keep this hand. Got early interaction, sort of can deal with everything that our opponent's going to be up to. So we'll keep this. And we're on the play. All good. Okay, Breeding Pool into Llanowar Elves. Interesting. Just going to foretell here, I guess. Another Llanowar Elves. Interesting. Heart of Kiran. Okay, so maybe opponent's on like an unestablished archetype here. But what I do know is these Shadows Verdicts are going to mop up these Llanowar Elves quite nicely. And I'm more than happy to Heartless Act this Heart, providing our opponent can put a bit more power into play. Okay, so this is a Collected Company if I've ever seen one. Are we interested in Saw It Coming? Or do we just want to go to our turn of Shadow's Verdict? Let this go off. This could be a complete mistake, but I'm thinking... Oh. So opponent's on like mono green elves, I guess. Elves. Because I'm happy to Heartless Act the Heart of Kiran here. And then Shadow's Verdict should get everything the Collected Company can put into play. Hopefully the opponent's not on like a Spell Pierce plan. Increases the power of the Pelt Collector, which gets a little bit annoying. If our opponent has like a Spell Pierce or something, I'm probably just dead. So no need worrying about that. Yep. Could see another Collected Company here. But can't really play around Collected Company at this point. So opponent lets this go off and then they cast another Collected Company. Yeah, not much we can do. Hopefully our opponent just doesn't hit too many goodies. Yeah, I'd call this a goodie. And Scavenging Ooze. I guess we exile the graveyard, so Scavenging Ooze isn't that great. Yeah. Sublime Epiphany. Guess we get to like bounce something. We could like counter the activation of the Ronus if that's our opponent's plan. Bounce like troll. I guess if we bounce troll now, then our opponent can just activate Ronus in response. But our opponent's got enough power in play, so... So this is +2, so it'll give 4 power. 4, 5... Are we just dead? 5, 4... We're just dead, aren't we? I think if we Sublime Epiphany here, we're dead. What's our plan then? To Shark Typhoon? Shark Typhoon for 1, it can block the Scavenging Ooze. I guess Ronus can give it Trample. Wow. I don't know. Like, Sublime Epiphany could bounce Ronus, I guess, but Ronus can just pump the Scavenging Ooze. I guess Ronus pumps the Scavenging Ooze in response. We're not just dead. Are we? We fall to 1. So probably just falling to 1 here. And bouncing Ronus. Falling to 1 is... I mean, it's not dead, but, like, it's pretty much dead. Like, yeah, so we got to answer 2 threats next turn. So what are we doing? We cycling Shark Typhoon in the hope of hitting a Vraska's Contempt, which we have 2 of in the list, or are we cycling Shark Typhoon, no Heartless Act, or are we cycling Shark Typhoon to potentially hit a Fatal Push? Tough. We need to, I guess we cycle to make a Fatal Push just because the odds are that you're statistically more likely to hit a Fatal Push than a... Okay, yeah. I guess we're statistically more likely to hit a Fatal Push, so we'll go for that. So we cycle for 4. Leaving up 1 black. Because we could go for the Vraska's Contempt, but got to just go with statistically what's the most likely thing we'll hit. And we did not hit it. Let's see if we cycle again. Was it 1 more card deep? Nope. Sure. Sweet. So yeah, out was hit push there, and then even if we hit push though, we're still in a pretty bad situation. Okay, so yeah, it's normal stuff, I guess. Similar to like Gruul. Languish doesn't hit Ronus, but hits a lot of what else our opponent is doing, so probably keep it in. What do we want to cut in this matchup? That Sensor is going to be quite bad. Like saw it coming is good, but like if our opponent plays the board, gets down, maybe we'll cut 1. Like cut the commit to memory and like Sensor, maybe just trim there. It's got to trim that early interaction, I think, and then bring in trim the later stuff and then bring in some early interaction with like Ether Gust and like our additional push and that. But if our opponent gets down on board, then they saw it coming, so it's going to be awful. Okay, so on the play this time against this Simic elf list, I guess. Maybe they're running like blue for Spell Pierce and things like that. I'm going to keep this hand. Opponent's on the mulligan. The mulligan to 6 so far. I'm confident that a list like Dimir can beat this. I'm definitely confident that Jeskai could beat this list. At the moment, I'm just so excited to play Jeskai, I think, just because, like, it just feels like such a strong list at the moment. think just like mitigate the life here. Pumps the Belt Collector, then we've got to deal with it on the next turn. Opponent put it on the bottom. Nice. Okay. So, hexproof from black, so definitely gonna struggle to answer that. I mean, we can answer it, but like we're not gonna be able to answer it this turn. So, I guess we could hit Censor. Oh, I guess, like, silly me, it doesn't even matter. Though it doesn't matter, I guess, when we cycle anyway, but can't be countered. I guess Heartless Act is a good one. Can't take out the Pelt Collector, unfortunately. We can kill the Shifting Ceratops, though. Gonna take some damage here. Opponent gets to dig. But then we're taking 8 on our next turn. I guess we're just dead to the Hashep Oasis. Wow. Yeah, I mean, pretty good. It's a quick matchup for Dimir here. Languish was a good one. Languish was like one of our best draws. And then hopefully Torrential Gearhulk into like Heartless Act or Ether Gust next turn. I guess Shifting Ceratops is quite bad here again. Opponent wanted the counter that way. So opponent's got. We're using our Ether Gust, I'd imagine, here. I think I'm actually going to behold there, because I'm not sure what opponent could have, but maybe they had like a snakeskin veil or something. I'm not sure. Okay, so in for game 3 against this Simic, sort of probably mono green aggro elf mid-range list. Yeah, we'll keep this. Get to push early, cycle this Censor for a land if we don't need to censor anything. Like, very dependent on what our opponent draws. Gonna hope that they're not too fast. Probably gonna push the Pelt Collector here. Guess we'll hold up Censor in case our opponent goes for something big, because we'll probably want to censor something. Yeah, probably want to censor that. Don't really want to let Ronus resolve. So I guess we'll set up for Vraska's Contempt next turn. I guess we just want to push the Troll now. I mean, we're going to take a little bit more damage off the Pelt Collector, but this is going to have Hexproof. Our opponent could leave it up, so probably worth taking out the Troll now while it hasn't got Hexproof available. Though it is disappointing that our opponent gets an extra counter off the Pelt Collector. So, win some, lose some. But if our opponent untaps and then just leaves up mana for this Troll, that's going to be really tough to answer. So, got a Collected Company here, which works out really nicely. We get to saw it coming and then push. I'm just going to... Okay, not giving me the option. Not sure why I didn't have priority there. If I probably had some sort of protection spell, I'd be annoyed because it should have given us priority in the end step to recast. Which one of Vraska's Contempt now? This is when it dies, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, our opponent could have like a protection spell or something. I don't know if they're running any. But I'm not taking the damage from this. I'd rather... I mean, maybe it's just better to hold it just so we could play around Hashep Oasis. Oh! So opponent decided not to push. They wanted to counter the next thing we had. Which, yeah, works out really well for them. They get to Hashep Oasis here. So 100% we should have waited. Oh. Oh my god, that's so painful. Come on, answer. Come on. No! We threw it away because we decided not to wait. Wow. And we drew an untapped land. Wow. Wow. Okay, sure thing, I guess, yeah. I presumed our opponent didn't have an interactive spell there, but I guess the correct thing to do was to wait for your opponent's upkeep to do it, but yeah. Playing loose there and got punished for it, but like, come on. I guess that's the reason our opponent's in Simic. I think that's the only blue card we saw. So, kind of makes sense, but shouldn't have been punished by that. Okay, so moving into game 4 after getting extremely punished by a Simic fight spell. Got to put that behind us and see how we get on this game. So, Yorion Sky Nomad, probably going to keep this hand. Seems reasonable, got a little bit of ramp, Shark Typhoon. This is a matchup, I think, where you just want to make sure you hit land drops. Guess we could always cycle the Fetid Pools. Probably not, actually. It's going to be a few turns before we get round to cycling it. If we draw more lands, we feel sad. If we don't draw more lands, then we feel really good that we got it out early. Okay, so I can only assume that this is the ultimatum list, which we've played a few times. It feels like every time we play Control on the channel, which is pretty much every video, we play against this Sultai ultimatum list at some point. Yep, Sultai confirmed. Tis a scary prospect. Let's go down our Narset now. Guess we're taking Commit to Memory. Pretty powerful if our opponent doesn't have an answer to it. Opponent has the answer, but imagine if they didn't. Yeah, let's play Fable Passage. Maybe we should have taken Search for Scanter instead. So I assume our opponent's deciding whether they want to play around this Commit to Memory. I mean, we're probably just going to make a 3/3 Shark here. Opponent's just mulling over their choices. They know we've got to Commit to Memory, so that might be like, are they just going to throw something into it? Sometimes your opponent knowing about the counterspell is actually better than them not knowing. Okay, so opponent's decided to pass. We're going to Shark Typhoon. I presume... Okay. Opponent's going to scoop it up. I presume that we Shark Typhoon there and our opponent just kills the Shark with one of their dead cards in this matchup. Okay, so opponent decided, I guess, just want to go to the next game. Is this a Fort Distortion match? I guess let's take out everything else we want to take out first and then decide if we're cutting Fort Distortion. Or bringing in Fort Distortion. We're not actually as counterspell heavy as we normally would be. Yeah, I could see bringing in Fort Distortion. Maybe cut like a Contempt. Guess got to keep in the Contempts really for like Yorion at the very least. Maybe we're not bringing in Fort Distortion then. Yeah, we'll leave out Fort Distortion. It's not one of their matchups, I think, where we need it, because opponents, if they're on the ultimatum list, which I assume they are, then they're probably running a fair amount of non-creature and a fair amount of creatures at the same time. Okay, I think this is a hand we can keep. Our opponent's on the mulligan, but this Behold is hopefully going to be really good for us. And we're going to cycle this Fetid Pools as well. Okay, opponent's mulligan to 5, so early scoop in game 1 and now mulliganing down. Maybe opponent's just petrified of the memory. Okay, opponent's mulligan to 5. Tap land turn 1. Okay, so maybe they've got the hand hate spell. They just didn't have the means to cast it. It feels weird for me as well for Dimir not to be playing Four.Vs. Because maybe we should just be playing our Four.Vs in the main. Just feels like there's so many different cuts that we got to make. Four.Vs now is going to be quite good. Do we want to hold off on the Four.Vs one more turn? So we get to Behold and then next turn we can... I think probably better to wait. I don't think there's anything scary our opponent could really have turn 4. I know famous last words. Yeah, it's not too scary. We get to now we get to do 2 things. If we Four.Vs last turn, we don't get to do anything this turn. I mean, we actually would in hindsight, but yeah. So let's just have a look what our opponent's up to. Hopefully we get an ultimatum here. Oh, nice. Pact. So I think we're just going to Behold. Opponent has to pay all this mana this turn, so they don't really get to do anything. I mean, they get to take our commit here, I presume. But then hopefully off Behold we'll find some counterspell to defend what I can only assume that our opponent always has. Yeah, Mystical Dispute's fine. Against the final card in their hand is always Ultimatum, but I guess we get to look now anyway. It's giving us the good game. Oh, yes! We got the Fort Distortion. Nice. It's not every day you get the Fort Distortion. Normally we are forever being Fort Distorted, but no, opponent. This time we're in black and we managed to Four.Vs out of your hand because they had the Pact. That feels pretty good, I'm not going to lie. So yeah, let's just cycle this Fetid Pools. Don't really want a memory when our opponent's only got 2 cards left in hand and we still got things we can do. Yep. I mean, like, could memory, but probably is going to Torrential Gear Hulk into Behold. Opponent's got like another Fort Distortion, watch it. High hopes, and then yeah, gonna Torrential Gear Hulk now, I guess. Don't want to lose my Torrential Gear Hulk. Like, we can Behold. Tapping down here, I guess. We can Behold, our opponent gets to look at our hand. I still think we do Behold. At least then if we hit 2 threats, our opponent won't be able to take both of them. If we hit a counter spell, then I guess our opponent's still in the same situation. Opponent tops both. Yeah, I think Behold's probably better than casting either Commit or Memory. Yeah, I guess Saw It Coming's fine. Oh, that was great, yeah. Now our opponent, I guess, takes the Saw It Coming, but we still have negate a Mystical Dispute. But this way we have a 5/6 in play as well. We know our opponent's running Eliminate, so don't know if they're running like Heartless Act. Gonna Cycle Shark Tip in for 5 here. Could do it for 4 just to see what our opponent's got. But this is the first Ultimatum list I've seen playing Pact. So yeah, we knew this was coming though. Like, there was no way we didn't know that the second Fort Distortion was coming. But we're going to put our opponent to 1 here. And we get to keep the Torrential Gear Hulk. Wow. 'Tis a good day to be playing Dimir Control with Four.Vs. Yeah, that's made it all worthwhile. Okay, so into game 5, the final one with Dimir Control. And we don't know what our opponent's on. No companion here, but we're going to keep... Double Sensor can at least be cycled into a Narset. It's pretty good. We're going to not shock. We'll see what our opponent's on first. Before we start shocking. Okay, we will shock now. I would like to hit an untapped land for this Narset next turn. But I think it's important that we hold up Censor this turn. Into Swamp. Island. Or like Simic Flash, maybe? Simic Flash is a rough one, I feel. Now, we've got some good tools against it, but yeah. Well, thou shalt see if it is Simic Flash now. If it is, then I'm pretty happy about this situation, especially since our opponent didn't have an additional land drop there. And Fatal Push, definitely relevant with these Fable Passages. I mean, I like Fable Passage, but it might be a bit overkill to have 3 of them. Yeah, probably take Commit here. We're like threatening our opponent, like, have you got an answer to Narset? Yep. Looks like it's probably Simic, the Flash list. Maybe it's like Teamer with the Torrential Gear Hulk putting the Magma Opus into the graveyard. Probably not going to just play an additional Narset here. Probably just going to cycle Shark Typhoon and then just start smacking our opponent for 2. And then probably, yeah, won't play an additional Narset, especially since we picked up the Saw It Coming as well. Opponent going for an Ambusher. Pretty happy if they are. I think I might foretell one of these counter spells. Yeah, I think I am. Yeah. Because in this situation, this works out really well for us. We could even censor it if we wanted to. It didn't give us priority either, so we're full control. I don't think we're going to censor it. I think we're just going to let this resolve and just push it. Opponent knows we've got the push. They know we've got the Fable Passage, so we're not joking around. And then we get to hold up Censor for our opponent's turn, though, let's be real, our opponent's not going to be doing anything in their turn. Yeah, Abundant Harvest plays around Narset really well. Okay, so opponent's on Sultai, not on a Teamer. I still think Censor's relevant. Yeah, Censor's probably still going to be good. If our opponent goes for a Night Pack Ambusher here, then we'll just censor it. Pretty happy to trade a Censor for an Ambusher here. We're already at the point where Censor's pretty much fallen off. Probably should have maybe foretold our counterspell there. We'll fetch first. Opponent just got like an infinite amount of Night Pack Ambushers they'd like to resolve. Yeah, I think that's fine. Not going to use a counterspell on protecting our shark. So maybe our opponent's running the black just for removal. Opponent's got to be really careful here. So we'll cycle Shark Typhoon for 4. Bit more pressure on our opponent. But yeah, if we ever find an excuse to get this commit off and then can Torrential Gear Hulk into the memory, yeah, opponent's got to be careful. Soon we're maybe seeing a Fatal Push in the end step or another Heartless Act. Nope. Opponent had nothing there, not even an answer to our shark. Could have maybe just cast commit there just to get something off. Opponent's turned it into a 2-turn clock. Pretty nice. Brazen Borrower is definitely something our opponent could have as well. So be wary of the Brazen Borrower. Yeah, even Jeskai struggles against Simic Flash when I've played it. So it'd be nice to see if Dimir can take this down like relatively convincingly. I don't know if our opponent's just had nothing this game, but our opponent's got to have something now. And actually, their something might not even be good enough, yeah, because we have like what? We have like 3 counter spells at the ready. I'm going to assume our opponent's on Simic Flash, so we're going to bring in Fort Distortion. We're going to bring our Aether Gusts. I don't actually know if we want Negates. Mystical Disputes, Pushes are okay, and Fort Seizes are great, I guess. In terms of cutting, probably want to cut these Shadow's Verdict. Languish might be something we want to mop up Nightpack Ambusher and all of the tokens. Sublime Epiphany we're just not resolving, if we can get real. Cling to Dust is something probably we don't want. The rest of the list looks really good. Like maybe we're cutting like Vraska's Contempt because Fatal Push can pretty much answer whatever our opponent's got. Maybe for like a similar reason we're cutting. Maybe I'd rather have a Heartless Act over a push. What's the final card we're going to cut? Maybe Narset. I wouldn't imagine Narset affects our opponent too much. Like we saw they have like Growth Spirals and they maybe have like... Actually, they're probably not running Explore. They're probably just running Growth Spiral because it's an instant. But they're looking to do it in our turn anyway, so it's not going to really affect them that much. So yeah, probably just run it like this. So opponent's on the mulligan for game 2, and we're up a game. Probably going to keep this. This is a more than reasonable hand. Hopefully we get to resolve the Search as Cantor on turn 2. But you don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I don't presume our opponent has a creature, and if they want to play around Mystical Dispute and just Growth Spiral now, then yeah, there you go. I think that's fine. We'll just get our Cantor down. I mean, our opponent could have a Mystical Dispute still, but looks like they don't have a Mystical Dispute. There was no pause or anything. Ah, there's all their Mystical Disputes. Fable Passage should be quite good. I mean, land is okay, but probably going to graveyard that. We've got Behold coming up as well. Might have been a bit greedy to bin that. Yep. Not too much. I presume they probably take Shark Typhoon here. Yep. Not got too much going on. Definitely going to keep a land here if there is one. No graveyard Aether Gust. Really nice for this Nightpack Ambusher when our opponent probably plays it here, but I think we need to hit our land drops. There's nothing we can hit. Yeah. Really needed a Fable Passage or something. Maybe we should have kept the Aether Gust because we know the opponent has the Nightpack Ambusher on turn 4. There's never a world where they don't have that. Should have 100% cast this Behold. Ooh. Opponent only has 2 cards in hand. Probably don't need Fort Distortion at this point, but Heartless Act is a good answer to Nightpack Ambusher, so we'll keep that. So probably graveyarding a land here, unless... Ah, should have probably pushed the token. Yeah, graveyarding Torrential Gearhulk. So I guess we'll do all our removal shenanigans in our opponent's turn. Yep, not much we can do. We'll push the token, but this way our opponent doesn't get an extra token in their turn, so we're only taking 4 here. And we're definitely going to get to transform Search as Cantor. So just do our cycling biz. Probably just graveyarding this. Need a way to answer this Night Pack Ambusher, or like a way to trigger Revolt. Guess we can just Narset here. We're not really doing anything else. We can still activate Search Azcanta. Or Azcanta the Sunken Ruin. Yeah, are we activating Azcanta now? Do we probably want to cycle this Narset away, don't we? So probably activate Azcanta in our opponent's turn instead. Also get to play around Four.Vs this way. Our opponent's got perfect information as to what we've got. Yeah. Fortunately, our opponent's going to get to make another Night Pack Ambusher token here. Cycle this Narset away. I guess we'll be taking the Narset. Actually, we'll take Four.Vs. Four.Vs seems a bit better. Get to Four.Vs, and outside of our opponent having double counterspell, we get to answer this Night Pack Ambusher. If they have a double counterspell, they have like there's not much we can do. Do we just go for it now? Do we go for it now? I don't know. No. Well, does our opponent have a double counterspell here? Brainstorming sort of like suggests they might have another counterspell. It depends. It has to be two hard counterspells because we get to survive at the very least by pushing. Oh, actually, I guess we don't because we lose 2 life in the Four.Vs. So I guess we take the Sinister Sabotage. And then we get to upkeep Torrential Gearhulk. So get to Torrential now. Do we want to counter this or remove the other one? Does it matter? I don't think it matters. I think we'd rather counter it and then we have a removal spell for the second Torrential Gearhulk in our hand. And then our opponent needs a removal spell here, which is definitely not in their deck's description of things they're good at. So now now we're in an okay position. Can we get to Torrential Gearhulk now? Into Heartless Act. Kill the Night Pack Ambusher and then push one of the tokens. And yeah, we're not going to waste any time. We're going to do this now. So into Heartless Act. We got quite lucky. Well, I say we got lucky. Like, this is the way the cards draw out that our opponent had a bit of a brick that turn with a Fable Passage, but we've definitely had our fair share of bricks. So I don't know. We're going to lay out this Fetid Pools as well. But sweet. So we're not in the clear. There's quite a few things we died to, but I think we can even start attacking here. Yeah. And then I'm probably just going to push one of the tokens now. That way, if our opponent top decks a removal... Well, I guess if they top deck a removal spell, you push one in response. But I'd like to close the game quickly. Okay, opponent gets to Brainstorm. Hopefully they're just locked now, yeah. I've played against a fair share of decks when they Brainstorm with no cards in hand and then they scoop it up, because if you hit 3 non-relevant cards, or even if you hit 1 relevant card and it's not enough to win you the game, well, you know your next 2 draws are dead. So, but yeah, sweet, taking down Simic Flash. This is not something that Jeskai is quite often able to do, and we haven't played enough Azorius on the channel during this season to test if that's good, but it's nice to know one of the control lists can do it. Howdy guys, cheers for making it to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching some more Dimir Control. So we played Dimir Control recently on the channel, and I can't remember our record for that, but this list overall felt quite a bit stronger. We've made a few different changes, mainly changing the numbers of things, so the list is ultimately the same. There's some quite big changes in the list, like we're playing Shadow's Verdict instead of Extinction Event, which I think actually is relevant in quite a few matchups. It is 1 mana more expensive, but it consistently hits pretty much everything against these like collected company decks, and like in the Gruul aggro matchup at the same time. So Shadow's Verdict, I feel like, is probably the board wipe of choice that I want to be playing in Dimir. But if I was playing Grixis, I'd probably want to be playing the new Mystic Archive Destroy All Non-Dragons board wipe. Maybe for flavour at the same time, but I think it might be just overall just a little bit better than Shadow's Verdict. I don't know. I haven't, since I've been playing the ladder climbing up and playing through Mythic, I haven't seen any sacrifice lists in quite a while. And I think that's one of the main reasons you want to be playing Shadow's Verdict. But that being said, I think most creatures at the moment are free CMC or less. And any ones that aren't either can be revolted with your Fatal Push or Vraska's Contempted, or you just counter it. So I feel like Shadow's Verdict is probably what you want to be playing for the board wipe at the moment. Overall, how do we think the list did, though? I think it did pretty well. I enjoyed playing it. I didn't enjoy playing it as much as Jeskai, but I think that's just like a personal preference on me at the moment. I even prefer playing like Azorius above Dimir, so I don't particularly like playing it as much as some of the other control lists, but that's not to say that Dimir doesn't have legs at all, because you can definitely see from this it does. Mixing the like Azorius blue with like the Grixis and Esper black really does have some things that it's got going for it. It's one of the only control lists that I play Mindstone in as well. I just think like the ramp to get to Torrential Gearhulk is really relevant. You don't necessarily have the tools to fend off your opponent forever, and your win conditions in this list, because compared to all other control lists, you normally have a reliable win condition either in the source of Nico Bolas or Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. In this list, you don't really have like a solid win condition, and I think you actually saw that in the mono black aggro list we played. We managed to stall the board for ages, but we just couldn't find a Sublime Epiphany or Torrential Gearhulk to save our a Shark Typhoon or Torrential Gearhulk to save our lives. So we ended up just dying very slowly to what our opponent had, which, I don't know, like maybe we wouldn't have found a Teferi or Chandra or something if we were playing some of the other lists, but I felt like maybe that's where Dimir struggles a little bit more. But the good combination of counter spells and really, really efficient removal spells is why I like playing Dimir overall. What did we think of the new land we put in, the Biblioplex? Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I don't think Dimir is necessarily the list that we want to be playing this in. Dimir has a lot of cards, especially game 1, where they're dead. Like you're either playing against a non-creature deck where Fatal Push is useless, or you're playing against a deck where you can't get Cling to saw it coming out of your hand, or you're trapped with a 6 mana Sublime Epiphany in hand. So the Biblioplex just doesn't feel that strong, maybe in Dimir. But I can definitely see how this would be powerful in something like Azorius, maybe. I definitely think if you're playing this, you want to be playing in a 2-color list, and you want a high density of instants or sorceries. But it's not something like Collected Company where you need to be running like a critical mass of instant or sorceries, because worst case scenario is it is just a surveil, so you do get to manipulate the top card of your deck, and you're either talking about 5 mana Castle Vantras to activate, which is actually quite expensive, or 3 mana Biblioplex. So there's actually quite a bit of mana in it, so I don't know which one's correct. Obviously this you have to put a colourless land into your deck, and I don't know if you just want to be running like Blast Zone, Field of Ruin instead. If you're in Azorius, you're probably running Field of Ruin instead of Blast Zone, but maybe you want to make room for like 1 Biblioplex. Not sure. When we come to test Azorius and other 2-color lists, I will be trying out this land a little bit more, because I'm interested to see how it fares. I've seen other Azorius lists playing it, and it's done okay. Like, it's good in the situations it's good in. Like, it definitely, you run the risk of just being mana screwed from it and just not being able to cast your absorb, which is the main problem I have with Azorius, because like I need to hit 3 coloured mana on turn 3 pretty consistently, otherwise I'm gonna struggle to cast my absorb, and that can normally just mean the difference between winning and losing a game. So you have to answer how much is it really benefiting you to have the Biblioplex in rather than a coloured source of mana. But yeah, that's more talking about Azorius than Dimir. So I felt like it did okay here. We're not obviously saw it coming as only double blue and 1 generic, so we can afford to have that colourless source as well. And I didn't feel like we got too hindered from the Fable Passage, Fatal Push sort of set that we're running in here. It felt like it did overall okay, and like with Searcher's Canter, it fills the graveyard a bit quicker. So it's always good for that reason as well. But yeah, that is Dimir Control. Overall, thought it was a pretty good list. It was fun to play. It's always fun to play Torrential Gearhulk. And if you ever do get round to Torrential Gearhulk or Sublime Epiphany, then cast Torrential Gearhulk, copy my Torrential Gearhulk, then cast another instant or sorcery out of the instant out of the graveyard, then yeah, you're laughing pretty much. So yeah, and if you ever get to cast a memory off of a Gearhulk while you have Narset in play, you're laughing. I feel like that's the main reason you're playing Dimir above Azorius or something else. But yeah, that was the list. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Things to look forward to upcoming at the moment. So we're going to give Grixis a go, and I think we're going to push the creature side of it a bit more. I think it's probably going to end up being more of a mid-range list. So maybe it won't be controlled in the natural sense that we play control, but hopefully you guys will still enjoy it anyway, because it will have tons of card advantage in there, tons of value. So hopefully that's one of the reasons you enjoy watching control anyway. And obviously we haven't played Azorius in a while, so Azorius is going to be coming up again soon. And I kind of want to branch out to some more control lists at the same time. Maybe we need to play like Simic Flash or something like that. Less of a control list, but still countering all of your opponent's spells, so you get your fix that way. Or we can play something like Bant, which goes to the complete opposite. You're probably running less counter spells, but an insane amount of value. You're just drawing as many cards as possible, playing all your extra lands. So let me know down in the comments what you want to see, because always interested about that, and we make these videos for you guys. So yeah, that is it. Until next time, stay safe.